Cassandra Terry, the mindset coach and founder of Manifesting Miracle Makers, rounded up her LinkedIn family once again. First, we've got Brian Smart, Mr. Content and Dadpreneur. He's striking the perfect balance between raising his youngest daughter and creating masterful content. Next, meet Denise Annalise Spiller, the gig expert and relentless traveler and writer. She turns every gig into an adventure. Then there's Jay Pasquale, a storytelling strategist, a poet and voiceover artist. He's weaving tales that'll make you think, laugh, and maybe even change your perspective. And wrapping it up, we have Eric Clark, the soul speaker and author. He's here to soulfully help you craft your story and narrative. Get ready for a show filled with wisdom, inspiration, and the magic of family. Let's welcome Cassandra Terry and the rest of the Fanfire.
Hello. Welcome to the Tuesday edition of the Cassandra Terry Morning Show. It is Transformation Tuesday. On Tuesday, it's all things transformation. How do we do it? What is it? Why does it matter? Why do we keep talking about it? Those are the types of things that end up, crossing someone's lips before the Tuesday show comes to an end. So I am excited for a new week. I am excited for our guest is with us today. Welcome, Leah Garcia, financial professional. I've got my regular crew who always has my back. Brian Smart, Mr. Content, aka Dadpreneur, Jay Pasquale, the storytelling strategist, and Denise Annalise. Welcome. Y'all, Denise is joining us from Grenada, where she just does not talk about what life can be as an empty nester and how you can open up your life to any opportunity anywhere. She's actually living it. She left us back in October. Physically, we have only seen her across the glass since October because she went to Grenada. She plugged herself in and totally immersed in that community. And she has built businesses. She has built relationships. She is showing us how to get it done. And, transitions and transformations can go hand in hand, right? She hit a point in her life where the children were grown and gone. And she told me not too long ago, the house sounded different. It sounded like it sounded when she first moved in. Things echoed. There wasn't that background noise of conversation. And she woke up and realized she didn't like that so much. She didn't think that was going to be a thing for her, but it was. And so she was at a point of transition. And she had to make some decisions. What am I going to do? Am I going to keep doing what I was always doing and be miserable in that process because it's changed behind me? Things changed whether she was ready for it or not. Or am I going to embrace this change and figure out how I can make the absolute best of it? How can I take this portion of my life, live it out loud, live it to the fullest, do the transformation necessary to really enjoy it? And so, Denise, I didn't plan to say all that this morning, but just seeing you here, it's just what came up and what came out, because she is a living example of what we can do in those transitions in life. Empty nesting is difficult for many, many people, but it doesn't have to stay that way. Of course, you're going to miss your kids. Whenever we go through change, we have to figure out how to adjust to it. But the first adjustment, like everything, starts with the mindset. How are you seeing it? What are you thinking about? How are you processing what's going on around you? Are you just feeling and allowing yourself to be bogged down and overwhelmed by those feelings? Or are you looking for the possibilities in this phase of life as well? Whenever we are open to the possibilities, whenever we are determining that we are going to look at what's new and get the most out of it, we set ourselves up for success. And that's what she's done. Not only has she set herself up for success, Bread of Life, Bread the Life, Grand Rising. Great to see you here. Not only did she set herself up for success, but she did it in a way where she's impacting an entire community. She's making the world around her, her portion of the world, she's impacting it positively and making it better. And you couldn't do that from your bed, sad and upset because the kids are gone. They're supposed to be gone. It's the next phase of life for them too. They have to leave the nest. They have to figure it out for themselves. All those lessons that you thought they weren't listening to over the last 18, 20 years, they get ready to put those into action. And that's a beautiful phase of life too. I absolutely am so proud of my kids and what they've done with their lives. And I get to look at that and go, man, I started early. I had my first child when I was 21. By the time I was 23, I had both my daughters. And I look back at them now and I'm just amazed that, they've given me beautiful grandchildren and they've built lives. And I can see my youth in action. I can see everything that I poured into them and that portion of my life in action. And it's amazing to see. Or I could be really sad. Especially the oldest one moved to San Antonio a couple of years ago. It's only an hour and a half or two away, but I'm used to seeing her multiple times a day and those grandkids. And then all of a sudden, it's a little bit of a journey to get to them. Another transition. I had to transform my thinking. I had to transform my attitude. I had to transform my actions to make that work so that I was still very active in their lives without having the flow of them in and out of my house every day. And that's just one type of transition that can kick off transformation. Life is happening around us all day, every day, all the time. The question is, are you tapped into it? Are you aware? Are you controlling your emotions and being tapped in enough to even realize that the change is happening? Because once we realize a thing, we put ourselves back in control and we can make the necessary steps in order to make the most out of that thing, whatever it is. So, awareness. Lorenzo says, so the world is transforming. Sure, it is. The thing change is happening all the time, and we get to decide how we're going to affect and participate in that change. Are we going to be active and aware and make the most of it, or are we going to be overwhelmed and frustrated by it? The only constant is change. There's just never a time where everything is status quo. As much as we as humans would like it to be, we love routine. We like for things to be the same, but something is always happening. Something is always happening around us, and we have to tap into it. We have to have that connection vertically and internally. Are you connected to your higher power? Are you aligned? Are you listening for the messages so that you know what your path really is? Do you see the steps that are lit for you so that you're moving in that direction? And are you internally tapped in enough to know whether or not how you're living and how you are taking that change in and showing up in the world? Transformation is not a one-time thing. It's not a quick thing. It's ever happening, ever evolving. And we just have to choose to participate. Let's see, LinkedIn user, I can't tell who you are because it's showing up that way. So you'll have to drop your name so we can properly address you. But it says puberty is a transition. Independence is a transition. Wants and needs are a transition. Growth is a transition. Parents must gauge and engage in these moments to ensure nurtured development. Absolutely. There are many, many, many transitions, in our lives, and we move in and out of them as smoothly or bumpily as we do. And a lot of that has to do with how our mindset is set up. How are we tapped into that thing? How are we choosing to participate in what's going on around us? Or are we so on autopilot that we're not even catching it? So let's take a look at, I didn't have enough space to capture all of my quote for the day, but we can get most of it and I'll finish it from there. Creating lasting change in your life requires consistent effort and commitment. It's not a quick fix, but the development and integration of new habits that will bring us lasting change and ultimately to transformation. Because change we can do pretty quickly. We change our clothes, we change our mind, we change the direction that we're going in all the time. But when we talk about transformation, we're talking about something so much deeper. We're talking about deciding to show up in the world differently, tapping in and making wise decisions that will allow you to first, you have to get clear and determine what it is that you're after. How am I wanting to show up? What am I working towards? What's important to me? What aligns with my values? And once you have clarity about those things, then you start to build your plan to actually create that life and move that from a dream to reality. And in doing that, you have to have a plan, but not a quick fix. I think I talked about it not too long. If I want to get ready for an event and there's a particular dress I want to wear, I want to make sure the tummy is very, very flat. I can just do a lot of smoothies. I can be really careful about what I eat and not eat much of anything for a few days and get into that dress for the evening. I'm probably miserable. I'm not feeling that well, maybe a little lightheaded, probably grumpy because I'm hangry, but I could do it. But as soon as I go back to my regular diet, what's going to happen? That quote unquote weight, which is just water that I've lost, is going to come right back and maybe a little extra with it to actually transform my body and to actually transform I would have to change my habits, right? I'd have to actually eat things that my body loves and that gives it what it needs. I have to move more. I have to get up and be active. And in doing those things and doing them over time so that I actually build them into my routine, that's where real transformation comes from. So that because I've integrated new habits into how I exist. And those new habits, small, consistent steps over time will compound and will get me to where it is I really want to go. The quick fix typically doesn't last for long. That's not what we're talking about. It's not what we're working towards, because we want true transformation so that it becomes a part of our existence, a part of our lifestyle, whatever it is. If you want it to last, you have to put in the work. There's no real quick fix. There's no real quick fix. And that's a hard lesson for many, especially in the world that we live in, where we want everything fast and we want everything quickly. Let's see. Sonia has joined us. She said, good morning, Fam 5. Linda is also with us. She said, good morning, everyone. I see it looks like Naomi for real has joined. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I see quite a few folks coming through. And as you continue to scroll, I'll try to, oh, Big Fish has joined. Welcome. I will try to catch you all and acknowledge you as we scroll through. So we've got a guest with us this morning, Leah Garcia. And Leah and I have done quite a bit together lately. We spent a lot of time together. Just last night, she was a part of not only a LinkedIn live event we did yesterday morning early, but then we closed the day together in our vision board party. So we have spent hours together yesterday, and here we are back at it again this morning. I asked Leah to join in as our guest. And in particular, she kept coming to mind because as a financial expert, she's always talking about compounding, compound interest, compounding. And those small, consistent steps that I talk about all the time, that's what it reminds me of. The ability to compound. If you're taking small steps every single day towards the thing that your goals, towards the things that you're trying to accomplish, just imagine in a week, a month, a year, how that has compounded and propelled you towards what it is you're trying to accomplish. So you gave a story yesterday morning, Leah, about a penny. And I would like for you to share that story to illustrate compounding and how our small, consistent steps can be so very rewarding. And then anything else that you want to share about the quote in general. We'll start with you, and the floor is yours.
Oh my gosh. First, can I just say, I am so excited to be here. Like, this is so surreal. I want you to know that. I have so much respect for everyone on the Fam 5. I follow them, I stalk them. They just all drop so much wisdom. So if you're not following all of them, I highly suggest that you do that.
Thank
And
you.
I'll be a little transparent here. So when I was little, we watched this show called The Price is Right.
The Price is Right. Yes.
Yes, with Bob Barker. So I'm dating myself, but I'm okay with that. And I would always, when I was a little girl, I would always think they would announce it and they'd say, Cassandra Terry, you're the next contestant on The Price is Right. Come on down. And everybody would scream and yell, and then you'd see them running. That's how I feel right now. I feel like I'm the next contestant on The Price is
Come
Right.
on down, Leah. Come on
I know,
down.
I'm coming on down. I'm bringing my A game. Oh
You
my
are
gosh.
in contestants row.
So, you know what you're talking about is compound interest. Oftentimes people think that it's about starting big. I have to wait until I pay off my debt to start saving and investing. I got to wait till I have a lump sum of money. But it's really about starting where you are, because it is an atrophy muscle in most of us. And the story that I think about is the power of the penny, is what I call it.
Mhm.
We think of a penny, and where do we see pennies? We see them strewn across the floor. We see them at the bottom of our purse. Maybe they're on the bottom of our car. And most of us just kind of look past this penny because we think, oh, it's not much. It's insignificant.
Right.
And truly, I want to hope, my intention is to change the way you think about a penny. Because if you took a penny and you doubled it for every day for a year, how much money do you think you'd have? I don't know where you're tuning in on this, but if you don't Google, right? No cheating here. But if you
Don't Google it.
what would happen if you took a penny and you doubled it for a year, every day for a year? How much money do you
So the
think
question is, if you took a penny and doubled it every day for 1 year, how much money do you think that you would have? Just
Drop it
making
in the
sure you guys
comments.
can
Just,
hear her.
what do you think? What do you think? Remember, it's just a penny. It's 1 cent. Most of us don't
Drop
even
a
use
comment. What do you
pennies.
guys think you'd have in a year if you doubled a penny every day? Coral, you're a good guesser. What do you think?
Oh yeah,
What do you
Coral.
think, Sonia? Welcome, Janelle.
Just throw out a number.
Any
There's no
ideas what
right
you
or
would
wrong
have?
answer. Coral might already know the answer, however, because she was on Motivational Monday.
So Atrophy said 2 times 365 as a guess.
Good answer. Good answer.
Good guess.
Well, anyone else? Any other guesses out there? If not, that's okay. Would you believe you would have 68,719,476.74? Let me say that again.
Say it again.
If you
68
took a
million.
penny, because some of you aren't getting it. If you took 1 penny and you doubled it every day for a year, you'd have over $68 million.
$68 million, doubling a penny every day for 1 year. 68 million and a bunch of change.
Right. That is the power of compound interest, and I refer to it as compound pounding. You know, if we did a push-up, 100 push-ups in a day, what would have more impact? Doing 100 push-ups in a day or doing 1 push-up for 100 days? It would truly be doing 1 push-up for 100 days, because you would develop the mindset.
Mm-hmm.
And after a few days, 30, 90 days, you might start doing 2 push-ups. It's that compound interest that leads to compound pounding, because you're developing the muscle, you're developing the mindset. So it's not about a penny.
Right.
What is it about? It's about developing that muscle.
Mm-hmm.
Start where you are. If you have millions of dollars to save and invest, hats off to you. But if maybe right now you feel like you don't have those resources, really start with a penny. And I hope that every time now you see that penny, you think of the millions of dollars that this represents, that could represent behind this. And that is the transformation that can happen with little steps. It's the little steps. It's not these big things. We don't go to the gym one day for 8 hours and think that the next day that we're going to be transformed. It doesn't happen. Believe me, I've tried it. It doesn't work. It is the consistent action. And we call that, in karate, we call it kaizen. It is small actions over time that compound to have dramatic results. If we think of an airplane, and if it's off just by 1 degree, instead of being in Florida, suddenly you're in Alaska.
Mm-hmm.
It's because that compound interest and compound pounding. So I hope that helps, Cassandra. I
Love
appreciate
it.
the opportunity to share.
I appreciate that. And it's not about, like she said, it's not about the penny. It's not about even the workout. It's not about flying that we're talking. What we're talking about is starting where you are, being okay, recognizing where you are, and being able to start from there, because we're talking about progress over
Right.
perfection, just getting started. Understanding that those small steps over time are going to develop new skills, new muscles, new habits, however you want to see it, and keep pushing you towards your goals, keep moving you forward. That's what we're talking about. And that's why I wanted her to highlight that story. Taking a penny, and we had one guest that was $200. And
Ooh,
that's a decent guess because they were thinking about picking up a penny
that's right.
every day
Right.
versus doubling your amount every day. And
But
so,
think about that. Oh my gosh, I love that. I'm so sorry, Cassandra.
yeah.
I love that
Because there
because
is a difference. If you're
think about
consistently,
this.
mhm,
If right now the average family doesn't even have $400 in their savings for an emergency. So if you just made 2024 your intention to find, pennies are everywhere. I mean, once you start looking for pennies, you're going to find them everywhere. If you just collected 1 penny a day, you'd have $200. You could have $200 to at least put towards your emergency fund.
yep, starting
I
small.
love that. Wow,
Yep,
that's huge. I'm
yep.
sorry.
Hey, Jaylyn, I see you there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Nubian Grace, welcome. Glad to see you. Let's see. We have Dr. Marcia has joined us. She says, good morning, everyone. Coral, after the long day we had yesterday, she is back and connected and with us. She says she still loves the fluffy in your chair. And Tiffany Gary Liddell said that's a good idea. So she's what you're saying is resonating with her as well, Leah. So thank you for that illustration. I know that when we're talking about transformation, we're not talking about a particular subject, not finances, not anything. We're talking about all subjects, because anything that we want, anything that we really want, lasting change that we want to develop, start small, build up the habit, consistently do that new habit, integrate it into your life, and you'll see yourself getting closer and closer and closer until you wake up one day and you're standing in this new reality. You've achieved the goal or goals that you set for yourself. But start where you are and consistently move towards that goal. So thank you so much for sharing that with us, Leah. Denise, I am seeing you smiling and all lit up. So I think we're going to go to you next. Um, the thought for today, which was just something that I had written in the past. I didn't pull a quote from someone else today. Creating lasting change in your life requires consistent effort and commitment. It's not a quick fix, but the development and integration of new habits that will bring us lasting change and ultimately transformation. So over to you, Denise. What would you like to share about transformation?
Good morning. Good morning. So I've had so much going on. When I got this quote, I was like, man, the two words that stuck out, they just stood out, they jumped and slapped me in the face, was consistent effort. Consistent and effort. Because if you're not consistent with anything, I don't care what it is, it's not going where you want it to go. So I'm making these foundational changes to my entire plan, right? To my business structure, whether I'm even going to be a business or just be Denise, which in and of itself, if you don't have a business, you are your brand. Jay is his brand. Brian is his brand. Leah is her brand. Cassandra, you're your brand. If you don't have a business, you are your brand. So there's somebody out there that has ideas, that has a product, that has all this stuff going on, but they don't have a business and they think they got to go through all these steps, and they don't. And one of the young ladies that was in my workshop, this beautiful thing, you bump into people all the time here. If you don't know everybody, you gonna know everybody, okay? Because the island, and Jay knows what I'm talking about, this island is 116,000 people total. That's the population, right? So I'm from San Francisco Bay Area. You know, we got that many in one city. Leah, you know what I'm talking about. California, man, we got 20,000 people walking down the street. So it's a very small population compared to where we come from. However, for over here, that's how many people they have. So the parish I'm in right now, which is St. Mark's, is, I believe, I'm in Victoria, and it's like 4,000 people. So the 40 to 50 people that I've met in this particular parish, I'm bumping into them all the time. You're going to bump into them all the time. So one of the ladies, I feel bad for her, but I'm telling this story for a reason, because it's about consistent effort and the words that you speak. So she was in the workshop, and she goes, I just want to talk to you afterwards. She was taking mad notes, crazy notes. She just kept taking notes. And I was like, I'm not even talking for as much as she writing. So I don't know what she's writing, but she's writing, right? And then she comes up afterwards, and I usually do talk to everybody afterwards, except for people who might leave. But here, people aren't leaving. They're waiting to get that one-on-one time. They really need it because they're not sure what to do. And she goes, nope, I don't want to do that. What I was telling her was, why don't you get on Instagram? She's only on WhatsApp. She's literally not on social media. And I'm like, what would be wrong with you getting on Instagram? What you have is a beautiful concept. While I was talking to her and she told me the idea, I went to Instagram. The name's not taken. It's really unique. I don't even want to say it because I don't want anybody to take it, right? It's really unique. And you know, when you've been doing something a long time and you go and you see something catchy, you're like, I was like, all you'd have to do is either get somebody to be consistent for you or do it yourself. But you could get somebody to do it for you. You could collaborate with somebody. I was even thinking of helping her myself. I'll go on and put a post a day for you just to get her started. She doesn't have to hire me. She didn't want to do it. So I bumped into them at a festival the other day, and another girl took a version of the idea that she had, a version of the name, flipped it, put Queen on the end, and she's on Instagram. And that girl's offended. And I'm like, you didn't want to do it. She went in and she's literally, I went and checked and I was like, and then I saw this post and I thought of her. She has consistently posted 2 posts per day on Instagram. She's building a following. And then she came and asked, how do I now monetize that? I said, that's a great question. And we sat down and we had a chat. And I just told her what I think she should do to monetize that. Just keep going, right? And so now she's going to go get on Facebook. She's going to get on the other social medias. But she's building this thing. My point is, on those 2 words. One, if you're not willing to put yourself out there, you can't be mad at somebody else for doing something. That's one thing. I don't feel sorry for you, but I do. I feel sorry that you're hurt. I feel sorry that you're disappointed, but you're not willing to put yourself out there. And the last I checked, you don't get to trademark an idea. It's just a thought running around in your head. If you share it, and even if you don't share it, nothing is new. It's a version. All 5 of us could tell a story. It's going to be different. All 5 of us could walk down this street, tell the same story. It's still going to be different because Jay will notice something I didn't notice. You will see something. You'll pay attention to the green on the tree more than I would. I'm looking at the ocean. Leah looked down and she stubbed her toe. Who knows what it is, but it's going to be my version. An idea is not yours. That's number 1. But number 2, I see the young lady who's deciding not to put her idea out there because she says she doesn't have time. I see her every day when I go out. I go for a walk every day. And she's sitting and she's chilling. You took the effort to go out of the house and go sit and chill. You could be using your phone to be on Instagram. I sound like I'm kind of being harsh maybe, but that's the reality. If you're not willing to do it and somebody else does, don't judge their effort. Don't be mad because they're climbing or they're growing. You know, if you don't want to do it, it's okay. Nobody stole anything from you that you didn't put out there. So on Transformation Tuesday, if you're not willing to transform your energy into your project, transform your attitude into doing something different than you did last year, don't be mad when 2024 don't deliver more. I just rhymed. I didn't even try to do that. I'm just saying. So I'm saying maybe it's that hard
I
love.
love that.
Oh, the hard love for those creative people. Almost done, B. For those creative people, like, you got to be willing to get out there and put in the work. It don't grow on its own. Life doesn't just come knock on your door and say, here you go, I'm going to give you a penny today that you can double tomorrow, and on Wednesday I'll be back and give you another penny. No, you got to go get it. It's not flying through the door for you. So that's my take today. I'm like, at first I was feeling disappointed for her, and then on the other side of it, I'm like, no, because the rest of us is working hard. If you're willing to work, I'm here for you to help you. And it don't always cost you anything. If you're willing to work, there's people that will dig in with you. But it's not a quick fix like this quote says. I'm looking at it. It says it's not a quick fix, but it's the development and integration of new habits. They will bring lasting change. And in 2024, it will bring you more. I'm just saying, be willing to do the work to transform your life, transform your thinking, your energy, and those ideas you have in your head. Oh my goodness. If you're just willing to do one thing different and one thing every day, one thing, what did you do today? I have it on my wall. It says, what did you do today to accomplish your goals and change tomorrow? Thank you guys for listening.
That is it. Small, consistent steps, starting where you are, digging in, committing, and taking the steps necessary to have what you say you want. Are you willing to do the work? You cannot do the same thing and expect to create something different. If you're good where you are, yes, keep doing the same thing so that you can have more of that. But if there are areas of your life where you want to see change, get clear about what those are. Get really clear so that you know what you're working towards. Build the plan, and then you have to put the energy behind the plan. So we have some comments that came in. Let's see. Bowden, I'm probably saying your name wrong. Now, the most important thing, starting not to be afraid to show up on social media, is the perfect way to start the transformation. Tiffany said, preach. Coral said, Denise, you are being real, and I love it. And let me scroll up because I know the comments were coming in as you were going. Coral said, you're looking even more beautiful even more beautiful today, Denise. Bowden asked, how many of you are active on Instagram? Me, not active. Most of us are. I know Denise is very active. I'm active. I think Leah just said, Leah, did you say yes? So Leah's sort of active. So, yep. Coral, ooh, don't be mad if you're not willing to put yourself out there. Ouch. I hear you. Yeah, we all have a story to tell. We all have something that's put inside of us that we're uniquely designed to bring to the world. But if we don't decide to do the work to produce that thing, to share that thing, not only do we lose, but the impact that we could have had on the world is lost as well. And I think most of us see ourselves as just this individual who's making decisions for themselves and their immediate family, but you're impactful so much more than you give yourself credit for. Your unique gifts are needed on a level that's so much bigger than you give yourself credit for. Someone is waiting for that idea that's floating around in your head. Someone is really needing that product that you've been thinking about. Not only could it change your life and the trajectory of the lives of your family, but you could impact the world in such a powerful way if you take the steps and go for it. Let's see. Let's see, Broden. For me, it's hard to show up. It's not hard to show up here because I've spent over 20 years in showbiz. All righty. Coral says, yes, transform your attitude. Denise, go girl. Tell it, Denise. That's right. There's no quick fix. Coral said that person needs to go on Cassandra's vision board event. Now this is one of my favorite quotes, and I don't know who said it, but this morning it's Bowden who wrote it. How you do anything, I'm gonna actually put it up here so you guys can see it. How you do anything is how you do everything. The first and the last rule of life. That is so important for us to impact. Why do people practice? Why is there rehearsals? Because you're building up the skill and the muscle. And when you go into rehearsal, you're supposed to practice how you intend to perform. That's right. Because that's how you are going to perform. So if you're kind of lackadaisical going through the motions, that's likely what's going to happen when the lights go up, when the cameras are rolling. Excuse me. So you have to do it how you intend for it to be done, because how you do anything is how you do everything. If you're the type of person that shows up with a smile on their face, rolls up their sleeves, and just gets to work and figures out, have you ever had a party and there's that one person that you can't wait for them to get there because they're going to help, they're going to stay around and help clean up, they're going to make sure things are flowing and organized. That's how that person is. That's how they show up all the time. So people are happy to see them coming. Or are you the person who is going to find fault in everything that's going on around you? If you're finding it in one thing, you're probably finding it in most things, because that's your focus. That's your point of view right now. That's why that inner work is so important. Be intentional about what you're focusing on, about what's coming out of your mouth, about how you're showing up in the world, because how you do anything is how you're going to do everything. So thanks for sharing that, Bowden. I absolutely love that quote. Lisa says, Island Life is definitely agreeing with Denise. Annalise Spiller, love your message. Don't be afraid to show up. Consistent and effort. Bowden said his name is correct. I am so glad. I really like to get people's names right. Tiffany said, which one is better, Facebook or Instagram? I think it depends on your audience that you're trying to reach. There's some research that you can show that gives you the kind of the demographics of who shows up on each one and how consistent they are and the types of things that they're doing. So that's one of those answers where it depends on what your end goal is, Tiffany. But why not do both? So that's what I do. Like right now, we're streaming to multiple places, and until I get my stream key for TikTok, I have to have a separate device for them, which is why you guys can't see the other folks that are talking. But I'm hoping in a couple of weeks that'll be rectified and we can all be one big happy family on one screen, and everyone's seeing and able to interact with one another. Let's see. Big things usually reach by small steps. You never ever regret investing in yourself. And he was saying he's glad that I liked the quote. I'm gonna have to check out your profile, because you're talking a lot about messenger marketing and how it can increase your reach and all of that. So Bowden, maybe you're in social media marketing or something in some sort of a way. I'm not sure, but he is definitely talking about the effects of messenger and how that can help grow what you've got going on. All right. Oh no, Jay says he needs to take shelter. There's a tornado warning. All right. So we are praying for you, Jay, and praying that passes quickly and all is well. Some people go, we just need to hunker down. Tornado warnings come and go. But Jay has actually been in a tornado that struck and actually took away everything but the life of him and his family, their entire, their homes, their everything. And he's rebuilt for that. So going through this time of the year when those things happen are extremely difficult for him and his family because of what they've experienced before. So I'm glad he's hunkering down, and we are sending prayers and love and light to Jay and his family and everyone in the area as this storm passes through. Lisa says, so true, Bowden. My coach says the same thing. And Tiffany said, OMG, sending prayers. Yes, let's all send prayers, love and light to Jay and the folks in that area, because I know it's extremely difficult for him and his family whenever this happens. So it looks like we've lost Brian as well. I don't know, Lisa, Lisa, I'm reading Lisa's name, so it's coming out of my mouth. So not Lisa, but Leah. Did you get to share? Because I know I had a specific question or story that I wanted you to share when you came on, but I also want you to have the opportunity just in general, if you want to talk about lasting change or transformation in any way. I'm happy to give you the opportunity to do that as well.
Thank you so much, Cassandra. And Denise, that was such great wisdom. don't be mad when 2024 don't deliver more. Right? If you don't do anything, you can't expect to go. You can't go to the bank and try to make a withdrawal from a bank that you never deposited in. It doesn't work that way. That's called robbery. When I think of transformation, what came to mind when I read your quote was the story of the coffee bean. I don't know if any of you know who Damon West is, but he was sentenced to 65 years in prison for some crimes. And he made a decision that he was going to figure out a way how to survive in there, but also in some way to not get involved with all the shenanigans that can happen in there. And when he was sentenced, someone told him this story. It was actually, I think it was actually an inmate. And he said, it's a story of the coffee bean. And if you take water, boiling water, and you put a carrot in there, then the water will soften the carrot. Take an egg and we put it in hot water, then the egg will become hardened. But if we take coffee and we put it in hot water, what does the coffee do? It transforms the water. And Denise, it reminds me of you so much because you're in this environment and you're transforming everyone and everything around you. That's why you're having so much success there. You could have went there and then allowed some different environments to impact you and maybe not allow you to bring your greatness. But you're the coffee bean and you're transforming everyone and you're helping them to upgrade and up level their vision, what their belief. And even though you might think, well, this young lady didn't take action, but you still planted the seed. And sometimes that seed, if my son-in-law is a farmer, so if we plant an almond seed, it's going to take years for that seed to germinate. If we plant corn, it germinates quicker. But the fact is, we can't control the cycle of how quickly that happens because it's a process. But what we can control is planting those seeds. And that's what you're doing by planting all of those seeds. And you planted that seed in that young woman. She will never go back. Once you stretch your mind and you've had that exposure, that seed is there. It may take her years for her to move on that. But in some form or fashion, you've impacted her and her thinking has been improved. It's been expanded. So that's what really came up for me is being the coffee bean. Right?
I love
that impacts the water instead of allowing the water to change you.
I love that. And it reminds me of something I started saying late last year, Leah. There's just this thing. It may not be a thing anymore. You know, when you're old, as old as I am, you don't keep up with all the trends and the sayings that are popular. But it used to be earlier last year and before. People were always talking about matching energy. They were always talking about, I'm going to match your energy. Ooh, I don't know where that background noise is coming from. Everybody's muted, so it has to be me. Okay, let's see. There we go. That's better. So everybody was talking about matching energy. I'm gonna meet you where you at. I'm gonna meet you where you are. And I just and that became popular. And we have a tendency. Good morning, DJ Superman 50. We have a tendency to pick up on those sayings. They're quick, they're witty, and we start to grab hold of that stuff. And I thought about that later in the year last year, and I said, no, I'm not matching anybody's energy. I'm going to set the energy. I am going to decide who I am and how I'm going to show up, and that's going to be that. It won't be determined by somebody else. So if your energy is wrong for me, I will not be in your presence. We won't interact, but I'm not going to match your energy. I'm not going to let you determine how I'm going to show up. I have to own my own action, my own presence, what I put into the world and how I show up in it. So instead of being an energy matcher, I encourage people to be the energy setter. You be the one to set the energy. You decide that when you walk into a room, the atmosphere just improved. The room is lighter, the room is brighter. There's more good energy in that space just because you showed up. Don't let the person who's the most negative be the one to set the tone for everybody else. So I'm definitely not a energy matcher. Bowden says, I can tell you a lot about focusing during the bombarding of my city by Russian missiles and battle drones. We have a war here in Ukraine. Oh, yeah, we are absolutely aware that the war is going on, and we send prayers to you and your entire area as well, Bowden, because I cannot imagine. I can't imagine what it's like for that to be normal, to hear the bombs and to live in that type of an environment. So to show up today and to be positive and to be uplifting to other people despite what's going on around you is exactly what I was just talking about. That's an energy setter. No one would think oddly of him if he was in a bad mood, if he was angry, if he was mad at the world, if he just wanted to spend all of his time talking about negativity and the people who are doing that. That would be so typical. But instead, he's been dropping one positive comment after another, one after another, despite what's going on. That's why our inner work is so important. Even in the midst of your storm, whatever your storm is, you get to decide who you are and how you're going to show up. And Bowden, the decision that you've made is so powerful. And it's uplifting to everybody to know that while these things are happening around you, this is who you are. If I can't even imagine what a great guy you are hanging out on the beach when all is well. If you can be this positive now, I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine. But what I can do is pray for those beach days. Pray for those days where there's calm and there's peace and you're able to enjoy. He said, this is my only God here. And I hope other people see and hear and experience your way, because adding that positivity and that light is only going to help. If it'll at least help you and those around you. Good morning, Sabrina. That's my birthday buddy, my birthday twin. Welcome, welcome, welcome. And I see Kiwan, maybe it's either Kiwan or K1. Hello, madam. Forgive me if I've mispronounced your name, but welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Brian, I see that you are with us. So I am going to pitch it over to you, and I would love to hear this. I call this Brian's favorite day. I'm not sure if this is actually his favorite day, but Transformation Tuesday is how we really connected. He told me how hearing this live today when I was doing it on my own really impacted him and started a chain of events that got him back going again and back being more of Brian. So I can't think about transfer. I think about in Wake Up Wednesday, I think about you, Denise, but Tuesday, I always think about you, Brian. So let's hear what you have to share with us this morning.
Grand Rising, everyone. I hope everyone can hear me. I'm moving around today. You know, usually around this time, it's either when I'm headed to the gym, I'm dropping off my daughter, or I'm getting ready to go for a run. So you always catch me in my go gear. So I'm in the car now. I just finished up cleaning up after what Bree left this morning. I'm getting ready to go grab some coffee. And I'm about to get the day started. I got a meeting at 10. I won't say with who, but I got a meeting at 10. We'll just leave it there. I got to prep for that. I don't want any problems. I don't need any throat checking. Let's talk about transformation and what it means for all of us. This quote this morning, it speaks to what Leah was saying, what Bree woke up a couple of days ago saying. When she woke up, she said, what was the word? Committed. That's what transformation is. You have to commit to the transformation. My father was a Baptist minister. So, if you ever hear a little tuning, you have to commit to the transformation. And if you don't commit, you can't expect anything to transform. And that's why I show up here every single morning, because I am committed to being a better me. I'm committed to seeing me be a better person. If I don't stay committed to what I said I wanted to do, I can never expect to be who I wanted to be. And when you think about transformation, when you think about commitment, I like to think that's akin to what Leah said about that penny, compounding. The compounding interest, your compounding asset interest, your compounding audience interest, your compounding self-interest is what matters. When you take that initial step and you keep putting in a little bit every day, and Cassandra, you talk about it all the time. Denise talks about it. I can't tell you how many conversations Jay and I have had about it. Every single time you put forth that effort, then you're putting, and I talk to my daughter about this all the time. You have to train your brain to think a certain way. So you have to put forth those little bitty pennies. You have to keep depositing those pennies, not just daily, but every second of every single day. You have to keep depositing those pennies so that self-interest compounds, that audience interest compounds, that asset interest compounds. When you do that, everything starts to transform. It transformed for me. So I was interviewing a couple of new team members about, and it might have been a month and a half, 2 months ago. Well, anyway, before that time, I was always a little apprehensive about getting on camera. You know, is my lighting right? Are they going to get the message? Is it going to be this? Is it going to be that? And now when I get on, forget about it. You know, we're having a conversation. The lighting not right. I could care less. Let's get to the conversation. I hope the lighting's good, but it's not going to matter, right? Because I've built up this self-interest, this audience interest, this asset interest, this belief in my self-interest, right? That I don't need that anymore, right? If it's great, man, I'm glad. And if it's not, that's not going to change the conversation, right? So when I think about transformation, I think about compounding interest. That's what transformation is. It's that little bitty piece of repetition every single day, right? Those habits. Your habits are how you decide what your tomorrow is going to be. What you're doing today decides who you're going to be tomorrow. So make a habit of making the day your best day.
Bowden was right there with you before you said what you do today is going to decide who you are tomorrow. He said, be today a better version of you from yesterday. Be you and own it. Being you and owning it is huge. You can't be anybody else, at least not for long. You can try, but when you are operating as your best self, as who you really are, you open up the opportunities for so much more, and you're attracting the right people into your life. When you're pretending, when the mask is on, when the facade is leading the way, the people who are attracted to you are attracted to the fake you. They are attracted to the version of you that you're presenting. But when you show up authentically as who you really are, the people who support that person, those are your people. Those are the people who are a part of your journey, a part of the dream, can uplift you, can keep you encouraged, and you don't spend all that energy trying to keep the facade up. You put your energy into the things that really matter. So Brian's talking about the lighting. Maybe it was going to be right, maybe it wasn't. The important thing in that conversation was the message. So if the message is right, you can make the adjustments to the lighting and to the external stuff that's going on around you. Those adjustments can be made, but focus, keep the main thing main. Focus on what's important. And in that situation, it was the conversation, right? And what we're talking about now, Bowden says, mask off here. I'm glad, because we want to know you, not some souped up version of you that you think people want to know. And so I want to give you guys a few steps that help with creating transformation and lasting change, starting with getting really, really clear about what you want to transform. I did a vision board party last night, and before we got to the boards, we had a goal setting workshop, and I gave them all a worksheet that was split up in different areas of our life, anything from your spiritual life to your career to family and relationships, whatever it is. It's split up into multiple areas, and I had them to look at each one and say, is there something different that I want in this aspect of my life? And if the answer to that is yes, then you go about creating the goal that aligns with what that something different is, right? So first you have to get really, really clear about where the work is and what it is you want to change. And then once you do that, you have to develop a plan. There's no way around it. No more just living our lives willy-nilly, waking up every day, just going through the motions. Set your intentions every single day for what it is that you intend to do with that day. It's a gift. Open it up and get the most from the gift of today. And that's going to take you expanding and developing and implementing your plan. And the implementation is in those small steps, taking those small, consistent steps every single day so that you're getting there. And in taking those small, consistent steps, you set yourself up to change your habits. You're taking those new steps, you're integrating those in, and now you're at the point to where you're ready to actually have the things that you need, actually creating the habits to support your level up. You don't want to be the person that wins the lottery and because you didn't learn to take care of money, it's like water through your hands. It's all gone. In creating those new habits, you're able to maintain the success that you're getting. And seek support. Know who your support system is, and it's not everybody. It's not somebody just because you're related. It's not somebody just because they're in proximity to you or because you have the same dreams. It's the person who, when you're down, lifts you up. It's the person who, when you're off track, calls you on your stuff and holds you accountable. Because a true support is not just rah-rah. They help us to really see ourselves and move forward. So seek support from your actual support system. But first, you've got to identify who that is. There are dream killers all around us. There are naysayers everywhere. That's not the support system. They're going to help you get where it is that you're trying to go. So seek support, practice self-reflection. And all the time, I was going to say every single day, but throughout the day, I reflect. It's important to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Because sometimes we do things out of habit. Sometimes we do things out of obligation, but you want to check in with yourself and go, why am I doing this? And if the answer is not because it's leading you from where you are to where it is you'd like to be, if that's not the answer, then maybe you need to be doing something different. Pour your energy, your resources into the things that are going to help you develop the life that you want. You have to embrace a growth mindset. What does that mean? It talks more than anything about your relationship with failure. Most people see failure as a bad word, a dirty word. They don't want to talk about it. If things don't go the way they want to push it aside and pretend like it didn't happen, want to make sure nobody knows about it. No, that is where your biggest opportunity for growth lies. So when things don't go the way you intended, you want to spend some time with that thing. You want to understand where things went wrong or where they went differently than what you thought. Because in the learning, now you can make the adjustments so that you get closer to the goal next time. Imagine how many times there was no light when the light bulb was being invented. That wasn't, we take it for granted, but somebody failed over and over and over and over again. But they didn't just fail. They failed and they adjusted. They failed, they learned, they adjusted. They failed, they learned, they adjusted. That's what it's all about. In that learning and in making those adjustments, that gets us closer and closer and closer to the outcome that we're looking for. So have that growth mindset. Understand that if you don't know something, append yet to it. I don't know it yet. I'm not good at this yet. I don't know how to do it yet. The reason that little word is so important is because it keeps the possibility open. You remain hopeful. You know that if you're willing to do the work, you can get where it is that you want to go. So that growth mindset is everything. And then you have to have self-discipline. Self-discipline means that you know what to say yes to, and you also know what to say no to. There's going to be always this next great thing that's coming along. There's always going to be people who are looking for your attention, but you've got to determine where it's best to spend your resources of time and attention. And once you've made that determination, you pour into that and watch yourself accelerate towards the goals that you have set for yourself. And then you want to practice mindfulness. Mindfulness helps you stay soft and supple and focused versus hard and frustrated and angry. When I go into my mind, I start my day and I end my day in a very mindful place. When I wake up first thing in the morning, after I thank God for giving me another day, another chance, I go immediately into the things that I am grateful for. And I think about them, I experience them, I feel them, I smell them, I touch them. I really allow myself to go there, especially if you're in a relationship. Gratitude is such a great attitude adjuster. Be mad at your partner, right? And then start to think about all the things for that individual that you're grateful for. It will change your mindset quicker than anything. I'm so mad that he said this because it really hurt my feelings. True. And that's something y'all can work on, but you can't really articulate it when you're all mad and jacked up, right? You've got to allow yourself to get to a place to where you can respond and not react. And gratitude can really help you. I really want to thump him because he said this, but I'm so grateful that he and that he and that he and you fill in the blanks and you start to think about what you're grateful for, and in doing so you get yourself in a position to where you can have a good conversation, you can get your point across in a way that it can be received and understood, and then the change can happen so that you don't end up right back in that same spot again. So gratitude and mindfulness, everything. And then you want to seek personal development resources. Remember, I was just talking about yet. If there's a skill that you need, if there's a new habit that you need to develop, pour your energy into that. I'm starting school. Started yesterday. I have been coaching for quite some time because I went through a program on the job. But the on the job certificate that I have is not recognized outside of my job. But I'm doing this now internationally. So I want the credentials to support what I'm doing. So I'm in school for the next year. Every week, week in and week out, every Monday, I'll be in class for a couple of hours. Uh-oh, I think something about me and Brian. Hold on just a second. Yeah. I'll bring him back to the stage when I finish because for whatever reason, even though he's muted, we get all that feedback. So taking the time to invest in yourself, understanding what it is that you need to do differently so that you can have the things that you want, make that investment. Personal development is everything, and it is an investment. It's investment in time, it's an investment in resources. So I see that, Jay, that you've come back. So I want to give you some time if you'd like to share. We are so grateful. There were so many people all over the place praying for you and the people around you, and to see you back on camera makes us so happy because the storm has at least passed enough for you to be with us. So let me move and give it to you to share with us.
Yeah, thank you, Cassandra. First off, I'm feeling a lot better, and so I'm grateful and thankful for that. Um, I had a sleepless night. Um, One of the things I talk about, and what started my journey on LinkedIn was sharing my tornado story, my survival of a tornado. And but that doesn't mean that there aren't vestiges of that experience still left with me. And it definitely still lingers. And but it it's not to the point where it's detrimental to me, where it's a negative thing that's impacted me in such a way where I'm frightened, where I'm scared. I'm vigilant, not scared. There's a difference. I want to be able to make sure that I'm safe and that my family's safe. And so I'm
You fine
always
as a motherfucker.
cognizant of that. I just want to make sure that that people understand that that it's okay to think about things and prepare for things after or before something like this occurs. And so this is what I'm I'm dealing with at the moment. But to talk about the quote or the thought that you have for today, I was thinking about my tornado experience, but I'm going to start out with that Bible verse. Um, Proverbs chapter 24, verse 16. For though the righteous fall 7 times, they rise again, but the wicked stumble when calamity strikes. I'm going to focus on the first part of that and for a little bit. We have to acknowledge that even even those in faith, even those who are righteous, you know, people who are characterized by being upright and in adherence of God's word, right? They may experience, we may experience moments of failure or difficulty, right? This the first part of that, it's a symbolism of the expression that suggests that there are going to be challenges and setbacks to everyone. But the emphasis, though, on the second part is that they rise again. This signifies the quality of the righteous, that they do not succumb to defeat despite, you know, us going through that adversity, the trials, the stumbling blocks, you know, the dealing with PTSD, right? These aren't necessarily failures, but they are difficulties that we may experience in our life. You may not have experienced a tornado, but we all experience storms in our lives, right? And so this is what the consistency that you're talking about, that's where that comes in. Getting up, doing the thing that you need to do, even though you're you're feeling like this may not lead to something. Maybe this is not the right time. Maybe this isn't the right timing, but you persevere. Persevering is important, showing up, that commitment, because it isn't a quick fix. Your life isn't a quick fix. Even though we are conditioned for quick fixes through the microwave era, right? And the internet and all of these things, you know, and but we're still, eh, and I'm going to use um, B's words here. We're still crockpot people, human beings. That's what we are. Our life is a journey. And so it's important for us to just consider that and still stay committed and still show up, still be resilient, and still be consistent in that effort and be committed again. I'm losing my voice again, but I thought I'd bring that to the table. And thank you for the prayers, everybody. Uh, as you can see, it worked and it helped.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. We know you're still recovering from being ill over the last week and a half or so. And so it's good to hear you because I can actually hear you. You did not sound like yourself before. So it's good to see that you're on the rebound. And thank God that the storm is passing. Bowden had one more quote that I want to share before we wrap up. He says, "Comfort is short gain, regret is long pain. Fear is short gain, full short pain. Fulfillment is long gain." I love that. Just think about that. When you will never regret getting out of your comfort zone. I just don't believe at the end we're going to go, I wish I hadn't have live my life to the fullest. I wish I hadn't have, been been so present and saw the world, So I really resonate with this, Bowden, that getting out of our comfort zone, we won't regret that, but we will regret the things that we felt called to do, that we allow fear to stop us from attempting. Fear is short term, but on the other side of it, pushing through it and getting to the things that we're really called for, the things that we're working towards, that's fulfillment that will never go away. It's powerful. So once again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much from Ukraine, where there's so much going on that's not positive. Thank you for being a light and for sharing your light with us. Denise says, Lisa, yes, island life does agree with me. You are right. We can't be afraid to show up. Absolutely. Be afraid, but do it anyway. Sometimes we can't control the fact that we're afraid of something, but what we can control is whether or not we allow that fear to control us. So be afraid, but do it anyway. Find just enough strength, just enough courage, just enough to take that one step, and then do it again, and then do it again, and then do it again. And before you know it, that fear is behind you. That storm is behind you. We talked about the storm. When you're going through the storm and you're leaning in, the winds are pressing against you and you're fighting to take every step, you're gaining muscle. You're gaining strength that you didn't know you had, but you keep going. And when you get through that storm, those winds are still back there. Stuff is still happening, but instead of it holding you back, now it's propelling you forward, because you have the strength that you need to be ready to accomplish the things that you set out. And that very storm that you had to fight through is now pushing you faster, propelling you towards those goals. So see your storm for what it is. It is a muscle builder. You learn and you get stronger, you get better in the storm, and then you're ready to take off once you get through it. So thank you guys so much. We have been together for over an hour. We've dealt with technical difficulties. We've dealt with a storm. We've dealt with all kinds of stuff, but here we stand. We have gotten it done. I am so grateful for each and every one of you for making this a wonderful, fulfilling Transformation Tuesday. We will be back tomorrow. Tomorrow is Wednesday, Wake Up Wednesday, where we talk about the importance of being intentional and how you can go about living your life with intentionality. So we will be back tomorrow, 7:15 a.m. Central, on all the socials. I won't say them out loud because the algorithm gets mad at me when I say one other than its own. So we're gonna be but grateful that you are all here, and we will be back tomorrow and do it all over again for Wake Up Wednesday. So please join us. We look forward to seeing you all. Let me mute your mic. There we go. All right. So with that, we are going to call it a show. Thanks, everybody. We will be back here tomorrow morning, 7:15 a.m.
The Cassandra Terry Morning Show. We hope that you join us tomorrow for another episode. For advertising or sponsorship questions,
Thanks
reach out
being
to
with us,
Cassandra
Leah.
or any one of the Fam 5 on their LinkedIn profiles. Have a great day, everyone.
Have a great day, everyone.